All right, so we're back again. It's the second episode of the Electric Joystick Podcast. Once again, I've got my co-host here, Kevin Andrews, and Tan the Man right here as well. So there was one thing we forgot to talk about last episode when we were talking about the consoles. There's the new kid on the block, the Steam Box.
Right now, it's not. I wouldn't say it's in the running for next gen.
So you wouldn't say
it's not in the running for next generation, but I feel like it's going to make a presence late in the game. It's going to definitely. It's going to have a boom at some point, but there's definitely not going to have the sales that obviously the more established Microsoft and Sony are going to have.
Exactly. It's more like it's a weird choice for Valve to push this console-based thing because they're mostly PC kind of,
and
guys.
It's opening up the ability to play PC games on just in your living room on your TV.
Exactly.
You can have access to basically all the games that they've got on the PC, so it's very revolutionary in my opinion.
It is very revolutionary. It's just a very intriguing, console. It's definitely like, we were expecting the PS4, we were expecting the Xbox One, or we were expecting something around those lines, whereas like we weren't expecting Steam to come out and go like, oh, we're putting our console out now.
And it's definitely gone through a lot of different looks and designs. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a console yet that has had so many different variations in how it's actually going to look.
Yeah. And at the moment right now, the one thing that people are talking about is the controller, is that they have confirmed what the controller is going to look like. And that controller is pretty weird. It's pretty weird looking.
Yeah, it doesn't look like the most comfortable controller I've ever seen.
It's weird because instead of having analogs, it's having like almost like little touch screen things, like little circular touch screens. But, it's one of those things where it's like it might look like bad, but it might actually, when you hold it in your hand and actually use it to play games like Portal 2 and stuff like that, it might be really, really good.
It could be.
Yeah.
They generally, I think most console developers are trying to make these controllers so they're ergonomic, they feel good, they make sense to hold in your hand.
Exactly.
But we also had that problem back on, this is way back, the Nintendo 64 controllers.
Ah, yes.
We only got two hands and it's got three handles.
It's got three handles and the analogs in the middle and the triggers on the middle thing. I mean, people got used to it.
Yeah,
like people did. Like hell, people bought the Nintendo 64 because it had Ocarina of Time. Like, you're just gonna get used to the controller. It doesn't matter. But it's one of those things where it's like odd controller designs. They can either be like, oh, this is the new thing, like other people are going to start
totally
copying.
revolutionize what's happening with controllers.
Like I said, like back to the Wii, like when the Wii remote came out, people were like, what the hell? And it caught on. Like people liked the way it worked. So they, of course, everyone has to copy them.
And then all of a sudden we've got all these casual games coming in.
Yeah, all these casual games, which I could talk about, and I am actually going to touch on. It's the casual game, there's such a huge market now for casual games, like sports games.
It's definitely becoming a big part of the gaming industry for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely not in the hardcore sense of competitive gaming. It's more like the relax, I'm going to play on my phone and play some games.
Yeah. Well, that was the most interesting thing, like during my, like when I was buying a PS3, like this was before the iPods and stuff like that were getting super, super popular and more people had to have them. And then iOS games started like really, really growing. Like people do iOS game reviews.
Yep.
Like they are considered a real official like part of the industry now.
Definitely.
And I just find that really interesting because it sort of like slowly came out of nowhere, at least from my perspective, because I was kind of like, when people talked about games, like I consider them talking about Halo, you're talking about like, Final Fantasy. Whereas now, like, people will talk about Angry Birds.
Yeah,
like it's sort of like they've compiled into the same category as games.
I wouldn't say it came from nowhere. Like, I was pretty young when the iPod Touches started becoming a huge thing. Like, those were basically what opened up the new way we see the casual gaming industry.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I basically started on the original iPod Touch.
Yeah, with the little like ring.
Yeah.
And you had to like just to go through songs, you had to spin the ring around.
No, I'm talking about the actual touch screen.
Oh, the touch screen, right? The very, very first one. Oh, okay.
And I had a blast with those games, but I was young. I've pretty much grown out. I don't play them anymore.
Yeah.
I see the appeal.
The appeal of
I see why it's becoming such a big
Because, like I said, it's just one of those games where it's like they're it's kind of mean to say, but they're time wasters. You know, it's like you're on the bus, you don't want to sit there and just twiddle your thumbs. You know, you take out your iPod, you play Angry Birds for a couple minutes
keeps
or something.
You entertained. Like time passes by.
Yeah,
there you go.
And that's sort of like I find the general feel of a lot of these iOS games is like, okay, we got to make the game simple enough so that someone can literally just take it out in like a boring situation and just play it with like one finger or something like that. And it's an interesting design. I have seen some more ambitious titles. Like I've seen games, especially for the iPad, that they have pretty decent graphics and slightly decent controls. But like I said, it's hard to have like analog control with like somebody on the iPad, especially since it's like you're moving your sticky, grimy fingers across it.
It's because there's no definitive like zone. Like,
you
can't feel where these analog sticks are, so you're always moving your thumb off, and then it stops working because your thumb's not in the right spot.
It doesn't register, so it's like you just stop moving immediately. And
I think we should move on to the next topic, though.
Yeah, exactly. All right, this is a big one. All right, just pre-orders in general. Pre-orders, like bonuses, DLC. Well, not DLC just yet, but just let's start with pre-orders and bonuses.
Yeah.
For your
pre-order
games.
bonus is basically the bonus content that you're getting because you pre-ordered the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely, I'd say it's definitely a cash grab at first. It definitely gives an appeal to pre-ordering. However,
yes. It allows. Well, the thing is that it allows game developers like, oh my God, we've got their money in the bag. We can
we've already
sold this. We can already show these numbers off to people and rave that our game has this many pre-orders.
Definitely lets them
stuff.
It allows them to show off like, oh, our game is already doing well, and it's not even out yet.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like pre-order bonuses in particular can be done well. Like, usually, like, some people like it when, the pre-order bonus is, you get it if you pre-order it, but after a while, they'll release it. They'll release it for a download or something like that. Like, the best pre-order bonuses I find are the ones that are really, really cool. Like, they're just like an item, a skin, or something like that.
Not even digital-wise. I found it was kind of cool. When I pre-ordered Battlefield 4, you got the little dog tags.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. Like the other pre-order bonus collector's edition thing that I think a lot of people lost their crap over was the night vision goggles for Modern Warfare 2. It was like everyone had to have them. Like
that was the collector's edition.
That was the collector's edition, but it was still kind of like a bonus edition that you can get. But
basically you had to pre-order that.
You had to pre-order. It was gone forever.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting because I find that some developers, they do it well where it's like, they'll say, all right, here's the cool skin. If you pre-order a game, you'll get it right away. In a couple months, we'll release it to everybody. So for people who didn't pre-order at the time, you're still going to get access to it. And I find that's pretty fair.
Yeah.
Like, I find it annoying when somebody...
It's not like they're paying more for the game. They're paying the same amount, just at different times.
Just at a different time. The one thing that I don't like is when they it gets back to microtransactions. Like it's a very, very touchy subject because gamers generally, the hardcore gamers, not necessarily the casual gamers, but the hardcore gamers, they hate it. They hate microtransactions with a burning passion. And I can kind of understand that because you feel like they're taking bits of the game that should have been in there and taking them out.
Yeah, so that you have to give them more money so we can give you more content.
Yeah. I know Dead Space 3 in particular was really, really bad for that because there were like weapons and these like just weapons that you could see like they were already on the disc and they had to be unlocked by paying, with your stuff.
Kind of like how when you first buy the games, it says, "Oh, this content is included with the
pre-order."
Purchase,
yeah.
But then you put in the code, and it's supposedly for all kinds of new multiplayer maps or something, which would generally take 5 or 10 minutes to download.
Yeah.
And it's like a 300 kilobyte file that takes 2 seconds.
Exactly.
It's basically just activating content that was already on the disc.
Exactly.
It's weird marketing. I mean, that's like saying this content is included with the purchase of this game, but you're paying for that content because you're buying the game.
Yeah, so it's a weird little thing.
It's like saying the game is included with the game.
Yeah, exactly. It's a weird, especially another thing that's weird is the whole new dynamic with the online passes, like how you never used to have that, where it was like you
started. I think it started pretty far along into this generation.
But I think it was essentially, it was trying to kind of screw over the used game market.
It was.
Yeah, because essentially it was like, well, people aren't buying our official versions because they can get it used for $15.
Which, again, I think is kind of fair because the developers of these games, they want to sell their games and they want the cut from the profit that they are selling.
It's one of those,
When a pre-order game sells, the developer isn't getting any of that money. They're not seeing that money.
Yeah.
It's the used game sales people, the retailers that are getting that money.
that are getting that money.
Yeah.
It's also one of those weird things where it's like, you have to balance the fact that, okay, our game is cheaper now. You can get it for cheap, which means more people are more likely to buy it, which means the audience for this game will probably grow more and more and more.
Yeah.
But then again, it's also like, if you make your game more expensive, it's like you'll make a lot more money from the people who buy it, but less people are going to buy it.
Yeah.
Like you could see that for the Wii U, for example.
However, the pre-orders are still successful.
Yes.
Regardless of the online pass, people are still buying pre-used games, and then if they want to play online or if they just want the single player, they don't have to.
Yeah.
If they want to play online, they can buy the online pass.
Exactly.
Digitally.
I hope that, especially in the next generation, that pre-order bonuses are a little bit, safer, a little bit nicer. They don't go the route of microtransactions or stuff, and I just want them to be handled better, because like for example, the game Metro Last Light, for example, it did something that was kind of asinine, because they said, well, we don't have DLC, we don't have any DLC or skins or anything for our game, we have to make a pre-order bonus, right? So they go, okay, we're going to release the hard mode as a pre-order bonus.
Yeah.
The hard mode, which is apparently the mode that everybody wanted to play for that game, and it's essentially like, okay, you're paying $5 for a difficulty setting.
Yeah, that's
and
ridiculous.
I thought that was like, no, what you should have done is that you should have just released it for free, and maybe just took the time and added like a small tiny thing, like a gun skin or something like that, not the actual difficulty for the game.
Yeah,
because
difficulties are generically known to be included.
Yeah,
with
it's like pre-order the settings, like the settings for the game. It's like, why? Like
downloading a menu.
A menu, exactly. And I just found that was just a really odd decision for them to do. But
I didn't even know about that until you just said it.
But yeah, it was kind of
insane.
It was kind of an article that was going around for a while about pre-order bonuses in general. The next thing I want to talk about, DLC, just DLC in general. Like, what do you think about DLC?
DLC, I find, is very important in the gaming industry. It's able to take a developer's creation, expand upon it, and keep it going over months, years, however long it goes for. And I find it has been successful, and then it has been unsuccessful.
Yes.
There's definitely the bad
There's the good DLC and the bad DLC. And it's weird because I always find that for me, the best DLC is for like games like RPGs where they add like a new storyline.
Yeah.
Or it's like you're getting like a mini book or basically a mini short story or something like that.
It's the DLC that has real content.
Yeah, real content.
It's not like, oh, they just threw this on in 30 seconds and they're charging $5 for it.
It's the difference between like something in Fallout New Vegas where it's like the Gunrunners pack, where it's like, oh, we just added new weapons and stuff and for $6, or you could pay $8 more and get like a new area to explore, new quests, new stuff like that. And it's like, why would you even have this? Why don't you just update the game or something like that?